Well, today is the day I reveal some things on this channel I have never revealed before. Today is the day I reveal how I've lost $147,000 in my lifetime already, which I am only 28 years old. $147,000 is a pretty substantial amount of money to lose. So I'm going to share with you guys into detail exactly what happened, everything behind the scenes and whatnot. And a lot of people tell me that I shouldn't reveal stuff like this. And my point is, this channel is called Financial Education. If I don't share the mistakes I've made in my financial life, I'm not doing justice to the people, okay? I'm not doing justice to the people. And the whole reason I ever started this channel was simply for one reason and one reason only. It was to teach people about, finances, okay? Build people's knowledge up. And over time, I've made, unbelievable amounts of money from this channel. I'm super thankful. I'm super thankful everything this YouTube channel has blessed me with, okay? I'm super thankful. And I've given a lot back to the people. And today is maybe one of the biggest pieces I've ever given back to the people. So hit a thumbs up if you really support content like this, because not a lot of people will do it, guys. Not a lot of people that are in the financial landscape will ever talk about their mistakes they made, which is so key, because if all you're hearing about is good stuff all the time, all you're going to think is only good stuff can happen, and it's just unrealistic, guys. And you got to learn to deal with the ups and the downs of this. You want to do anything on a big scale in this world, you ever want to make a lot of money, you ever want to have, reach your true financial dreams, you got to realize, man, you're going to make some mistakes, and I think it's important to talk about. So I'm just going to get into detail with everything here, guys. Like I said, I hope you support content like this. I could have just made a video about my successes. You see, there's a lot of people on YouTube and social media and whatnot, and all you ever hear about, oh, I made $500 today, I made $1,000 today, I made $2,000 today. Everything's just about their successes and successes and successes, and they just keep throwing that in people's face, and definitely a lot of people fall for that. But man, you gotta understand, there's some mistakes that are made out here, and I made some mistakes in my life, okay? So the first huge financial mistake I made started in 2014, okay? So over four years ago at this point. It started in 2014. And what ended up happening was, basically, I started in the stock market at the end of 2008. Through 2008, 2009 were kind of my learning years. 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, I do phenomenal in the stock market, okay? By the time 2014 rolls around, I got $200,000 in my brokerage account, okay? I made a lot of money. I funneled a lot of money in because I was working at Quick Trip. I was saving a lot of money, putting a lot of money in, and I was making money off stocks. I was doing phenomenal. So I started getting really confident, and what I ended up doing is just I left Quick Trip, and I'm like, dude, I can just trade stocks, for the rest of my life. So I leave my job, QT, and I'm like, I was just kind of done with that place. And then I've done so well in the stock market, I was like, I can just keep killing it. But at the same time, I need more money to invest. So how do I get more money to invest? Well, my idea was I'm going to start a margin account. I always knew not to mess with it. I always knew it was out there. It wasn't like I've just all of a sudden 2014 rolls around and I all of a sudden figure out, well, there's something called a margin account. I always knew what it was. I always knew it was out there. But I finally get into this margin account, okay? And this is where my first massive mistake stems from, is from margin. Margin, basically how a margin account works in the stock market, is for every dollar you have, you can invest $1 on a loan, okay? So it seems awesome, and it is awesome if you continually make money, but here's the issue. If your stocks go down too much, you're forced to deposit more money into your account, or you get what's called a margin call. And what happens in a margin call is a brokerage can say, if this money's not deposited within 3 days, we're going to sell your shares automatically. Or you can go sell them yourself, okay? One of those two things is going to happen, all right? So it can be a really ugly thing if things go south. And so what I end up doing is I start going slow on margin. I start just kind of like dabbling in margin. I would just kind of do like, let's say I had 200,000 in my account, I might do, an extra 100,000 on margin. So, it's manageable at those points, all right? But the issue is, it's very alluring when you see, oh man, I got another 100,000 plus out there to invest. Why don't I start investing that? And then one of my stocks started going down, okay? One of my stocks started going down. And what I ended up starting to do is I started margining heavier and heavier and heavier. Going into 2015, now at this point, okay? And I'm margining heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And next thing you know, I'm 100% margined out, okay? So basically, I have no breathing room. And that stock continuously goes down. It goes down more. It goes down more. It goes down more. And my accounts are just going down in general. Next thing you know, I have to sell these positions at a massive, massive loss. Basically, I got down to a level with my accounts where I was like, this was all we had coming in at that time. So I got to a level where I'm like, dude, I got to do something with my life. I need to start businesses or something, okay? So basically what happened is I lost around almost $70,000. I lost around $69,000 in basically lost trades. So, you know, basically selling shares for less money than I bought them. It was really ugly. I just kept getting margin calls and it was just a horrible situation, okay? And this all happens within a year period, okay? I went from being unbelievably successful in stock market, a great story, to within a year being like, what happened? What happened, okay? So I lost around $69,000 just from lost trades. Then I lost another $5,000 to $6,000. So off of basically what I was paying in margin interest, because you're taking out these loans. Well, guess what? Your brokerage wants money, and I was paying like I think a 5% commission or whatever to Fidelity, 5 or 6% commission, whatever my accounts were at that time. And so I ended up paying in over $5,000 plus all the trades I was doing. It ended up being a $75,000 loss in total. Okay. That's not where it ends. Margin account. I also started a margin account with my wife's stock market account, okay? My wife had a good sum of money because she had been working at Quick Trip, and I basically had her mirroring all the stocks I was in, having tons of success in the stock market. Her accounts were very built up. So then I decided to start a margin account with her as well, okay? And I kept her positions mirroring my positions back then because that was just what we were doing. We were having so much success. And she ended up taking around a $25,000 loss in her account. So net between all this, we take $100,000 loss. Ugly. By the way, my wife is still with me. She's a great woman. I think she's just got a lot of confidence in me. She's just like understands, like, you know, am I going to make some mistakes from time to time? Yes. But am I the type of person that's resilient and is going to fight back? And it's like, I lost this, but I'm going to get it back 10 times that much. Yeah, you know, she's very confident in me, and I can understand why. Okay. And she's a great woman, very supportive, and she didn't trip off it. She's never like, you know, like put me down because of it. She's never been like, you suck at, you know, you lost all this money. She never did anything like that, which is a great thing because a lot of women aren't like that. Let's just put it that way. But, you know, it is what it is. So we lose $100,000, and this was a massive, massive mistake. I knew to never mess with margin. Warren Buffett says, man, if you're smart, you don't need it. And if you're dumb, you have no place using it. I don't know whether I was dumb or smart, but I felt dumb. Let's just put it that way, guys. So much success in the stock market, and to throw so much of my success away in such a short amount of time. It wasn't like this money was lost over a long period of time, and it wasn't like the stock market crashed or anything. There was nothing I could blame it on other than myself. That's the worst part. That's the saddest part about this. It wasn't like I could throw it on, oh my gosh, the whole economy fell apart and, you know, everybody lost money. No, I lost money. I screwed up. I made a big mistake. I got greedy. I got undisciplined. I started short-term trading. I started doing stuff like I would start. Basically what happens is there's earnings, okay? It's ridiculous. There are earnings of companies, right? Companies usually report earnings every 3 months. So what I would do is I would say, oh, this company over here, I think they can beat earnings because of whatever insight I had in that particular company, okay? So I would just throw $100,000 plus into some random stock that I thought, you know, was going to beat their earnings because I had an insight on why they could beat their earnings and whatnot. I would throw $100,000 plus in that stock the day before they report earnings, and then hope it goes good, okay? And what happens a lot of times is even if that company beats earnings, sometimes maybe guidance is weak, maybe that stock already ran up a lot, maybe it wasn't what investors expected, and sometimes that stock goes down. And sometimes, you know, I'd invest in the stock and it would go down 10%. $100,000 plus, it's a $10,000 plus loss in 24 hours, okay? 24 hours losing, you know, 5 figures. I went so far off the rails. In the financial landscape, the way I went with this whole deal is no different than somebody that just goes crazy on drugs, right? Somebody's a normal person, and then all of a sudden they try some cocaine or something, and then next thing you know, they're just full tilt, and next thing you know, they're just gone crazy, and you're like, dude, what happened to that person, man? They just went off the deep end on drugs. I went off that with money, okay, and with margin, and just went crazy with it, and it was stupid. I was 24, 25 years old or whatever when I lost that money. And I'll say two things about it. Two things why I'm happy, that money was lost, and we'll get into the next part of money that I lost. One, I'm happy because in the sense of, it's never fun to lose $100,000 in that quick amount of time, but I'm happy it happened because I was very young, and I didn't have nearly as much money as I do nowadays. So think about it in this respect. Imagine if I made a mistake like that nowadays. Imagine if I hadn't learned that lesson already. Think about it someday when I have tens of millions of dollars. Like imagine then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, let me start a margin account. And I start this margin account, and then the loss is way bigger, okay? It could have been hurt so much worse. I could have been hurt so much worse than it really was. $100,000 is $100,000. It sucks, but I get over it. And the other part of it is I ended up starting a business out of that. I started a real estate marketing company, which really started my entrepreneurial ventures, which I think was a big moment in my life. It got me off my butt because before that I thought I would just stock trade forever. And this got me off my butt to actually get out there and start doing something in the world and not just sit in my office all day. I think there's bigger things for me out there. Let's just put it that way. I'm no disrespect to anybody that just trades all the time and whatnot. But for me personally, I have more potential in this life. I can make a bigger impact. I always felt like my impact was going to be bigger. And, the blessing of the financial education channel happened. And by the way, I still don't feel like I still don't think my impact has, I still don't think this is it. Let's just put it that way, guys. So let's get on to the next part. Okay. So we still got $47,000 to account for here, unfortunately. And so my next mistake happens very soon after I take those margin losses. So I officially take, the remaining of those margin losses in, I believe it was either August or September 2015. It was either August or September 2015. And I start kind of looking at my real estate companies, trying to get that going. 2016 rolls around, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting this real estate marketing company. I want to start investing again. So I start investing again. But the issue was I took such a big loss that year that also my mentality, I think, became like a gambler's mentality, where I was looking for that one stock to hopefully try to hit it out of the ballpark, okay? That one stock that had huge potential, that maybe this could be a company that goes up, 5 times, 10 times. And it was a company named, I don't even have to put it up here. Everybody that's a loyal watcher of this channel knows what name that is. If you're new here, this is your first video you ever watched, you probably don't know it. And it's a company named GoPro. GoPro. I was swinging for the fences with this stock, okay? And my goodness, so much went wrong. So much went wrong with this stock. So much went wrong. And so much went wrong with my mentality around this stock, okay? One, I went super heavy into the stock, okay? Very undisciplined. Very undisciplined. I'll explain why I'm happy I ended up doing that in the end. I'll explain, one good part of doing that. But I went super heavy into this GoPro stock. And as it went down, I went heavier and heavier and heavier. And as it continued to go down, I then started buying options, call options in this stock. Okay, I started buying call options. And needless to say, call options is an opportunity that if you buy call options in a stock, it gives you the opportunity to maybe make way more money with way less money. But at the same time, if a stock's not at a certain price by a certain date, you could lose 100% of your money. So it's a little bit different than investing in a regular stock. If you invest in Apple stock, the only way you could literally lose 100% of your money is if Apple went bankrupt, okay? But if you invest in an Apple option, an Apple call option, let's say it's at a $250 strike and Apple's at $180, and you have a year for it to get there and it doesn't get there, you lose 100% of your money, okay? So call options can be very dangerous. So I'm still just playing this dangerous gambling game, okay? I went from being on margin, which was already like a crazy game, to then I started investing in this GoPro company, which had a lot of questions around it, and a very questionable CEO who had a lot of, and once again, this was a good thing that I experienced this, but it had a CEO, I'll get into that in a minute, it had a CEO that had a lot of questions. This guy had sold shares through some kind of, basically what happened is he was not, when they went IPO, when the company went public, he was not supposed to sell his shares, okay, or a certain portion of them. He goes through a charity way and sells a massive, we're talking like $500 million worth of shares. He goes and sells a massive amount of shares. Shareholders were really pissed because he sold at these way high prices for this charity called the Nick and Jill Foundation or whatever, and no one knows where that money went, if it ever went to anybody, did it go to anybody, who knows. We just know the CEO got to sell a massive amount of shares in a time period he wasn't supposed to sell. He got through a loophole because it went through some foundation that was in him and his wife's name. It was super sketchy. It was so sketchy, okay? So sketchy. But anyways, I get involved with this stock. And when I first bought this stock, they were actually a profitable company. They were still kind of, like the previous year they had made a profit, all right? But very shortly after, this company starts losing money, okay? This company starts losing money. And, historically, I don't mess with companies that lose money, okay? And to this day, like one of my investing philosophies, if it's a not profitable company, I'm not messing with it. I don't care how much potential upside it has. I don't care how much potential that company has. And oh my gosh, they got such a big vision. If it's not profitable, I don't mess with it. But GoPro, I was still so in denial about things, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to get all my money back, and just, you never know the games your mind is playing on with you and whatnot, right? So I stay in this stock despite them not even being a profitable company, and they had a lot of promising things. But anyways, the company, to be very short, they dropped the ball on everything. They were years behind on cameras. They were, every time they released a camera, it lacked the features it should have had at that particular time. They come out with a drone, which was a huge hope for the company. The drone falls out of the sky, literally. Like some of the drones were falling out of the sky. They would go up, and the battery would fall out. A quick note on this company is I knew about the drones falling out of the sky before anybody knew about the drones falling out of the sky. I knew before GoPro knew about the drones falling out of the sky, okay? Because I stay on YouTube all the time, and what I would search is like GoPro Karma drone and whatnot, right? And I would search for newest videos. I remember I seen a video some guy posted 2 hours previous or whatever, and it was literally his GoPro Karma was up in the sky and it fell down. Next day, I find another video, okay? And all of a sudden, a week later or whatever, news comes out that these drones are falling out of the sky. GoPro's like, oh crap, we're gonna have to do a recall on this, blah, blah, blah. Stock gets hammered. I could have got out of the stock and actually made a profit, because right before that, the stock was at $17. I could have gotten out and actually made a profit on the company, okay? But, still trying to swing for a home run or hoping that management would turn around. They had already made so many mistakes at this time. I should have just got out of the stock. That was so stupid to stay in the stock. So anyways, shares are at $17, and I decided not to get out. I stick it out with the company. Company recall takes forever. All it was like a simple latch that needed to be fixed on the drone. It was like, oh my gosh, and it took them months and months to figure it out. It killed all the vibe that was going for Karma at that time. Also, DJI came out with the Mavic at the same time, so they had the hit from DJI Mavic, which looked like a sick, little teeny quadcopter. So they got that hit. Then their drones falling out of the sky, and it makes them lose all credibility in drones. And it takes them forever to even fix the simple little issue they had. It was just an ugly times ugly situation. And we fast forward. I sell out of stock in I think it was early to mid-January 2018. I finally, accept the fate that it didn't work out. Take my big loss. And for a long time, I didn't want to calculate what the numbers were behind it. People would ask me all the time, and I knew it was a big number, but I just never wanted to calculate what that loss actually was. And it ended up being around $47,000, a little over $47,000 in GoPro, $47,000. And man, there's so many screw ups, and it all stemmed right from that margin, all stems straight from that margin, okay? Now, what did I learn from all this, okay? We already talked about the margin part. Well, a few things, okay? Call options can be dangerous, you know, no matter how much. Options should be used in supplementing, not like I'm going to go crazy on options, especially in a company you already own shares in. It's a supplementing thing, okay? Also, I went super heavy in GoPro, which was a thing I would do consistently with companies. I would go super heavy into them. My number 1 and number 2 positions a lot of times would make up 80% plus of my portfolio, okay? 80% plus of my portfolio was usually between my number 1 and number 2 positions. I no longer do that. The biggest position I have, which right now is a company named L Brands, which I started buying a few months ago. That's my biggest position right now. And that position doesn't even account for, I would say that position probably doesn't even account for 1/7 of my portfolio, okay? Nowadays, what I do is I well diversify around a lot of companies that are top of their industry. You know, I've really changed the way my investing outlook is. I really build portfolios like a portfolio should be built. Not, oh my gosh, there's 1 or 2 stocks I think have huge potential. I'm gonna put all my marbles basically in one basket. You're putting 80% plus of your money into 2 stocks. You're right, you're living and dying by those 2 stocks, all right? And eventually you will get burned in a big way by one of them. Eventually something's gonna happen where you're gonna get in one and it just doesn't work out. Up until that time it worked. I did it with Cabela's and Monster and Trinity Industries and all these different companies that had tons of success. And then, you know, eventually it came back to bite me, okay? Where now I actually build portfolios. Also, it really taught me that management's important. You got a sketchy management team, it's not even worth your time. It's not worth your time. If there's a CEO that's questionable and is like, well, he's doing some weird stuff over there, he doesn't look very focused, don't even mess with that stock. There's thousands of stocks out there, thousands and thousands of companies to invest in. Why do I need to pick this one that, you know, there's some questionable things going on there? It taught me that. It also taught me that, you know, don't mess with unprofitable companies, which was something I never mess with unprofitable companies. And then I decided to mess with this one. And it's unfortunate, but that's basically how I've lost $147,000. I took 2 massive hits in my financial life. You know, I basically started my financial life around 10 years ago, or about a decade ago. That's when I started investing in the stock market, started kind of taking control of my financial life. And those are my 2 massive financial mistakes. Other than that, I've been pretty clean financially, but needless to say, I got really dirty. Like, it's a lot of money to lose. That's a lot of money to lose at very young ages, okay? Although this, you know, I finally accepted my fate of GoPro here, that was really a mistake that was made back in 2016, because that's when I really started getting in that stock and started buying shares heavy. You know, it was destined to, you know, take the hit on that. It sucks, man. It sucks, but it is what it is. You know, like I said, it's all a learning thing, and it's all about how you bounce back in life. It's all about how you bounce back, because I'm telling you guys, like there's no one that lives life like just like skates free and it's just like everything's perfect. Maybe they put out that image. Maybe they put out that image and they portray an image of oh man, my life's just straight up and everything's perfect and oh my gosh, but I'm telling you, it's all about resilience. It's all about being able to take a hit, fight it off, and say, you know what, I'm going to come back better tomorrow. That's just the way it is. And anybody that's watching this, any young people out there, you know, realize you're going to probably make some mistakes. Try not to make it, you know, I'm here to help you as far as, you know, you guys understanding the mistakes I've made in the past. Try to never make my type of mistakes out there. You know, try to be the best you can. Try to build real portfolios out. Be diversified and those type of things. Don't be all in 1 or 2 stocks. Don't ever mess around with margin. Don't go crazy on options, especially when it's the shares you already own. Options are really something that should be for very, very special situations and not like I'm going to go crazy heavy in them and all those type of things, guys. So I hope you learned a lot from this. This is a very revealing video. You know, it's something I don't have to put out there. Like I could just hold this back and keep the skeletons in the closet, but the way I treat it, I'm like, just get it out there, dude. Just tell it. Just tell the story. Everybody knows the amounts. And when you tell it, it's like liberating, right? It's like, I feel free. Like, you know, there's nothing to hide. It's like, I got my skeletons out. It is what it is. Move on and be a better you, make more money and just you know, learn from it. That's all we can do. We can learn or we can choose to dwell on it. I could still be dwelling about this. Like I could sit in my chair right there and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that extra $147,000 that I lost in 2015. Oh my gosh, why did I do that? I could sit there and dwell, and that's what most people do. They talk about, they made a mistake. I have friends that have made financial mistakes in their life, and they bring it up all the time and how they lost so much money in the housing crisis, or oil wells, or this person lost money in some stock or whatever, and they bring it up again and again and again and again and again and again and all the time. It's not like they're bringing it up for video views or to teach people or whatever. They're bringing it up because they just want to talk about it again, and it's like, dude, move on. Like it is what it is. You can't sit and dwell about stuff. Move on, make more money, become a better you, and that's the name of the game, guys. That's the name of the game. That's where the magic happens. That's where the magic happens, when you take some punches in life and you come back stronger, because it is what it is. Anyways, hope you guys really enjoy this. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you did. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'm really posting a lot more on Instagram now, especially a lot of stock market breaking news and whatnot. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.